What's good, everybody? Thank you for stopping by. This is Deanna Kemple, your host of Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. Today I've got Chicago's very well-known philanthropist, Marco Foster. So thank you, Marco, for joining me today. Why don't you tell everybody about yourself? Just give us a little bit about your background and tell us your story.
I'm like, hey, thanks for having me. So, let's see. I mean, Chicago guy, not the suburbs, an actual, born
and what's wrong with the suburbs? Come
Nothing's
on.
wrong. It's
okay.
just, people say Chicago and they live in Barrington. This
is true. I think he's talking about me, but that's all right. We'll circle back to that later.
Maybe a little bit, but no. So my name's Marco. I, basically I've been doing a lot of, interesting things over the past years.
But you have a very, very interesting story. So let's just talk a little bit about your upbringing and some of the things you've gone through, because you've also had some health issues that you've struggled with as well. So tell people a little bit about that, and then we're going to come to how I've gotten to know you and how I do know you as a philanthropist in Chicago.
Well, basically, I started out. I was a foster kid. I ended up in the DCFS system, and it's I didn't get adopted fully until I was 7 years old, and I've been reintroduced to my biological family as of recent in my life, which it's obviously something that can throw a little bit of a tailspin in your life.
Absolutely.
For sure, but for in a positive way,
That's good.
Also lets you, it lets you kind of get over things, and but if you let it take you in a wrong direction, it can bring up old things. So I was very fortunate. My adopted mother and father, they instilled some good values into me, and they were great people. They both they passed away. They were senior citizens when they adopted me. So. It's been a little bit now, but yeah, they both passed away. What was it? 2009. Ended up with a random brain tumor that kind of flipped my life around for sure.
I can't even imagine.
I would say that's what flipped my life around to the point of why I'm actually on the podcast right now, or why anybody even knows my name, is because I took something that was not so great, and after a miraculous recovery, I decided I would, try to give back to something. And, essentially the whole goal for me is to make sure that it doesn't take a brain tumor or a life-threatening ailment to happen to you to give back to something that actually matters.
Sure.
So
it's very important.
Yeah, so, because, to be honest with you, before, this all happened, I'm like, I don't really have time to volunteer, do anything, and and it's so funny because now it's like I've got all the time in the world.
Yeah.
Because you make the time. You gotta take. Sorry, you have to make time to take time. That's what they say. So
it's very true, and that's something that I've had to apply in my life. And when people tell me that they don't have time for something, or if I catch myself saying that, I'm just like, well, I just haven't made time for that, or you're not making time for it. So that's a very key point. So 10 years ago, you had a life-altering experience aside from what you had already gone through as a young man, which, kudos to you. I think a lot of people, a very large percent of people, when they go through hardships like that, tend to take a negative route, and you've actually turned it into a positive route. So you kind of already touched on this, but what made you start hosting events aside from the fact that you went through a life-altering experience?
It was so funny. To be completely honest.
Please, honesty is good.
I remember standing in line with my buddy James, and we were standing outside of Underground for like an hour and a half trying to get in this club.
Okay.
And I was like, man, this has got to stop. And he's like...
And how long ago was this?
This was 11 years ago.
Okay, wow.
And
how old are you now?
37.
Okay.
37.
So you're getting old. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm older, but it's all right.
And I'm like, this is gonna stop. We got to figure this out. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, there's obviously people that are just walking right in.
Yeah.
And how do we become the walk right in people?
Sure.
And you know, after that, I mean, like,
so this is at 26 then.
Yeah.
That
so
you had this epiphany.
Yeah. So I started, you know, learning about these events and started going out and meeting people. And then I did my first event with John Cote, who used to own Akira. And we had like 300 people go out at Y Bar, back at Y Bar.
Okay.
And then we did another one again, like a singles event. So it was called Spring Fling, and people wore different colors. And,
oh,
you
cool.
know, it was some fun.
I love it.
It was like we packed that place.
Yeah.
So then...
so these are your first.
first two events.
Oh, okay. Wow. And you packed them.
Yeah, we packed them.
That is impressive.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, having John Cote helping you out with an event, you know, well, you know,
it's always good. It's always about who you know, right? You know, it's good to be connected.
Yeah, no, he's the one that's connected. Okay, like he helped me out. I wouldn't, you know, there's a couple people that I thank for at least the short-term success, because I don't consider this like, you know, a forever thing.
Sure.
You know,
yeah, it has an expiration date.
Exactly, and you just got to know when it's the right time to bow out gracefully. So,
but that's good that you can honor the people that helped you get to where you are today. You know, humility is very important. So, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
So now, since I've like made some sort of a name for myself, and you know, people are starting to call me by first and last name. You know, I also had a Facebook group for modeling, because I was doing a little modeling at the time.
He's a sexy man. Okay, come on.
And, you know, it was so funny because I made this Facebook group. It was like when Facebook groups were brand new, like no one had one. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to make a little place for, like, everybody to, like, kind of post stuff up. Well, all of a sudden it ended up being, like, 1,000 people in this Facebook group because people were inviting other people. And then people were like, wow, you're Marco Fuss, you're the founder of Chicago Models. That's the name of the Facebook group.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like...
I think I saw that on your Facebook,
And I'm like... I mean, it's just a Facebook group.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't do anything special. But apparently people thought it was a big deal. So now at this point, I'm able to get into underground.
That's an understatement. So at 26, you were standing in line, so that made you go out on your own and use your contacts to start doing events, which is totally awesome. So aside from the events, you are huge into charity, and I think that's one thing that I really respect and admire about you.
Well, I'm going to lead into this. This is a lead into.
Okay.
Lead in.
Oh, okay, got you. So I don't have to ask my next question?
Oh, no, because it leads in.
Oh, okay, fantastic.
So, Benjamin Newby, he used to be, you know, he's from a British guy from the UK, and he used to be the general manager there. And I'm like, hey, I want to do this birthday party for myself. I want to do a birthday party, but like I wanted to be like a charity-driven birthday party. And at the time, I circled back with One Hope United, because before the brain tumor thing, they were like, hey, you'd be a great advocate, and I'm like, no, I'm too busy.
And how old were you at that point?
I mean, I'm probably getting the numbers wrong, but I'm going to say 26, 27, something.
So a year or two after you started doing events?
No. It's like 8 months. It's probably 8 months.
Okay. So
like,
that's
all
awesome.
This is all very quick.
Okay.
So, you know, I circled back with One Hope United, and then they were like, hey, Marco, you should come up with this white party. Like, white parties are cool. And I'm like, you know, I like that. I like white parties, you know, but hopefully Diddy doesn't come after me. Or Puff Daddy.
Or whatever his name is. Who knows what he's going by these days.
And we did this, you know, little birthday party for myself. I had like 125 people there. And it's
a nice crowd, though.
Yeah, and it was like, wow. Like, people showed up for this thing. And then Underground had this event already. They did it for 2 years beforehand, called The Grinch Who Gave Back Christmas.
Okay.
And you know,
which is just recently has passed.
Correct.
Yes.
So, you know, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, you know, it was a nice little charity event they were doing, and we teamed up, and we were like, hey, let's make this thing big, and let's make this thing big, and basically, we decided to do a charity event having to do with brain tumors for Christmas.
Okay.
And
so two very important things. So one that, you know, for foster kids that you can relate to, and another one that you have not experienced a brain tumor yet, correct?
Oh, no, I had it.
You had it
Yeah,
at
I
that
had-
point.
yeah, I already
Okay,
had it.
okay. It's good to know timeline for everybody that's
Yeah.
listening, so you understand.
Yeah, I already had it and had it cut out and everything, which, you know.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, this fancy dentum I had is, yeah. So basically, we had a successful year with like 125 people showing up to both events. And actually, my friend Laura, she was the Grinch for this event.
Same one that you have now?
Yeah.
Okay. And she is awesome, by the way. So a lot of people that listen to this are here local to Chicago, but some people that are not, that are our guests that are listening, she is an awesome Grinch. Totally like all greened out and all that good stuff. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh no! No, I just figured I would let you at least give you some of that. So basically, the event was a success.
Okay.
And then the next year we did it again.
Okay.
And like 200 some people showed up to the white party.
Wow, that's
and
awesome.
Same thing for the Grinch. Like,
Yeah.
200 some people showed up to this thing, and I'm like, now I've got like stepper repeats and like, and all this other stuff. And I'm like, well, this is getting a little fancy. And then the third year, I realized that this wasn't my birthday party anymore. This was a charity event.
Yeah.
Because I used to have like a little birthday cake come out. Yeah, right?
Okay, egomaniac.
No, but I mean, it was the start. It was a birthday party. Well,
I'm just kidding.
Well, it took me a few years to realize it got bigger than me. So then it was just called the White Party, and
so not only are you raising money for charity, but you're also creating that awareness around these two very important charities and these causes.
And
really.
always keep my ticket prices manageable so that people can actually show up. It isn't like a $150, $200 ticket to show up to one of my events, because I'd rather more people show up and get the message of why they're there in comparison, because I always stop the event and tell people why they're there. Sometimes you go to events and it's just kind of like a party or a mixer,
sure,
but you don't know what you're donating to or anything like that, and you don't have any connection.
Yeah.
Whereas with mine, people obviously know, okay, the reason why he's doing this is because this is him and this is his life. So that's kind of how it started off, and now, and then it's just gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. And don't get me wrong, like, it's not as big as it used to be because I'm not as cool anymore. But
you're still pretty cool.
I'm like, I don't go out the way I used to. So
I mean, that's hard to do. I don't know how people do it, but it's like as you get a little bit older, your priorities change a little bit. It is fun to be out there and to be known and just keep yourself out in the scene, but it's hard. It takes a toll.
Oh yeah, I remember I used to go to like 4 events in one night.
Oh my gosh.
Obviously you're hitting things, you're taking photos, showing that you're there, checking in, or putting that Instagram or Facebook post, and then you're like, all right, off to the next one. And me and my little crew, like, don't get me wrong, a lot of the people from my crew, still some of my best friends now.
That's awesome.
And you know what? And we've all kind of like, we'll show up to things every so often now. Yeah. But like, it isn't like we're going to events for sport anymore.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Where it's like, okay, what's going on tonight? Oh, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
So what do you love the most about what you do, or love the most about doing the events? Because that's really what we're talking about. I mean, and that's why I wanted to do a podcast with you, because I feel like, and we had this conversation before about, your ego and, getting all in that scene and being so popular, but now you're a very humble person. You have such great energy, and, I think that's really important when you've gone through a lot and you have that experience, you have that wisdom behind you. So what do you love most about doing these events?
Well, I mean, I feel like I'm using one of my talents for good. I'm pretty good at like planning a party and trying to get people to show up. And, that's also too, I like, I guess, hosting people.
Yeah.
I like... Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong. A little bit of it. I like, oh yeah, it's my party,
Sure.
But
it's my party. I could cry. Oh, no, I'm kidding.
But,
Don't get me singing.
but the most important thing is that I'm able to do these fun events and
meet cool people like me.
And meet cool people like you. And at the end of the day, whether people know it or not, you've got the people that actually are there for the cause. Mm-hmm. You've got people that are there for the party.
True.
And if you're able to convince maybe 25% of those people that, hey, this isn't just a party, and they come back next year.
Creating that awareness.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
Then
support
cool.
the cause.
Because don't get me wrong, no matter what, some people it's just a party.
Oh,
and
for
that's
sure.
Cool.
For sure.
And they want to take their little photo and everything and say they were there, and then they go to the next thing.
Yeah.
All right? I get it. All right? Like, but, if I'm able to, turn some of those people from the dark side and actually let them know, hey, they're here for a reason, and then hey, then I'm happy and I've done what I was supposed to do.
So, and I think that's awesome. And so I did a big event this past year, and that's a lot of work. And we can talk about that in a little bit after we get through some of these questions. So, I mean, I don't know how you juggle full-time job and the events, because I know firsthand what it takes. But what are some common misconceptions, or what do you think are some common misconceptions that people have about you? Because I know I had some until we actually talked and we became friends. So, I want to know what you think.
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, you've got. I guess, I dress fairly well.
You're sharp. You got it going on.
I drive a kind of cool car. You know what I mean? And I hang out River North, which means pretty much you're a douchebag. I
didn't realize that until about a couple months ago that is and you are right.
At the end of the day, I mean, people don't necessarily know my life, and they really think that the events is really what you do,
right?
And that's your job. People don't know, I was 9 years old, building computers. I'm a computer nerd.
I did not know that about you.
Computer nerd. I've got a Starship Enterprise on my dresser. I've got a Captain America shield on my wall. I'm a super nerd. All right.
But that's another thing you do that I see on Facebook, because I'm a total social media whore. Sorry, but it's true. You dress up as Captain America, right? Mm-hmm. And you do so. Tell us a little bit about that. I know that's not off our question, but I want to know more about that.
Well, I mean, okay. So I've always had this thing: if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it right. And anytime I try to do a costume, I try to get as authentic as I can.
Oh, you look awesome. Very cool.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I'm that Captain America costume was thousands of dollars.
I believe it.
Which is why I wear it to hospitals and not birthday parties. Yeah, no, what was it? Somebody asked me a few years back, and they're like, hey, Marco, you've got some pretty cool costumes. You think you want to come to the children's hospital and dress up? I'm like, yeah, that sounds fun. Sure, of course. And, I go, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so awesome. Not only do the kids love you, either the kids love you or they want to know where Tony Stark is, because they don't really want to see you. They want to see Iron Man.
Yeah.
It depends on what movie's out at the time.
Sure. Yeah.
But
it's still
awesome. It's still super fun. I mean, I just have a blast doing it, and and every so often there was one kid in specific, and he was maybe about 8 or 9.
Mm-hmm.
He knows I'm not Captain America.
Right.
But hey, he appreciates us coming out and everything. And he actually had the same scar on his head that I did, because he also had a brain tumor as well. And we were able to, and I said, hey, guess what? Bam! And he's like, shut up. And I'm like, yeah, same thing. We got the same thing on opposite sides where I had. And we chatted up for a little bit, and it was just it was really awesome, and he really he super appreciated, and also let him know, hey, this is not the end of the world.
Yes, absolutely. You were an inspiration for him.
I'm like, either I was an inspiration, or I was going to let him know that when he's 30-something, he's going to be dressing up as a superhero.
But you had such a positive impact. That's awesome. Oh my God, I love that. At least now I'm a little bit more informed on what you do, and because when I see those pictures on Facebook, I'm like, what is this guy doing? It's not Halloween. Yeah, but
and, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, also, you give me a reason to put on the costume, I'm going to do it. So,
sure.
I'm like, that's always the best. That's the best reason to put it on.
Absolutely, and I think that's just so awesome. But I know we already kind of talked about this a little bit, but what is the one thing you hope to impart on guests to support your events?
I mean, I hope that they get that real things happen to real people.
Yeah.
I mean, if you would have told me before all this that I'd end up with a brain tumor
Gosh,
that which would almost take my sight. Or, you know, anytime you get your head cut open, you could die.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, my big fear was that, you know, because it was right up like over my optic nerve, and it was bleeding on my optic nerve, and you know, you know, the doctors told me, they said, hey, there's a possibility you could lose sight in one eye or in both, and you know, that's big.
It's huge.
I mean,
especially at that time in your life and the age that you were. I mean, that's like could have such a
even now.
Yeah,
could you imagine not being able to drive a car or walk around or doing all of a sudden now you can't go to work? And,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
your whole life would just get, and you know, that's where depression and horrible things. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
So you know, I went through all those stages myself where, like, you know, I'm thinking like something could happen, and you know. I went through, you know, depression, acceptance, you know, and everything in between.
Yeah, all like almost like the stages of grief.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
And you know, basically, I guess I want to show, you know, normally people see this stuff on TV, and they have no connection to it whatsoever. And for what I'm hoping that I bring is, hey, this could happen to you at any moment, because it just hit me out of nowhere.
Yeah. And
it can happen to you whenever.
Sure.
So, you know, don't think that not anything can happen to you.
Right, right. Nobody's immune, right?
Exactly.
So, I mean, and that's a huge thing to have to go through at any age. And I love that. And I think that most people that have met you, I mean, we kind of are, I mean, how I met you is in that whole social circle, the networking group. So, and I think most people that do know you within that group that do support your events do know, like, you have imparted that on them, and that's why they're there to support you. Mm-hmm. So we I kind of touched on this a little bit, but what is the hardest thing about organizing and throwing events like your most recent, The Grinch Gives Back?
Oh, the hardest thing about the events is making sure you're out to promote the event.
Yes,
that's the hardest thing. I mean,
it's exhausting.
You got to be out on Mondays and Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and you know, and not only if you want to make sure you have a diverse crowd, you got to make sure that you're not only going to the networking events, the magazine parties, the store events, the nighttime nightclub type of events, or just going out to the club and just running into people, because that's really all it is. All you're doing, I'm not necessarily meeting new people. Mm-hmm. I'm running into all the people. Like, there'll be times, no joke, where I'm going out.
Yeah.
And I'll hit Hoxton and Ava, and I'll purposely hit places where I know, like, okay, this is where like a huge mass of people are going to be.
Sure.
You know, make my way into River North. All right, let's go to Bodega. Let's go to Clutch. Let's go. Let's go to Underground. Let's go to Tao. Let's go to whatever the new Studio Paris is called, Dance Studio, whatever. You know, but you're hitting places specifically to just run into people, so that you can be like, oh yeah, hey, are you coming to the event? You coming to the event? Come on, what are you doing? You know, and that's literally, that is the hardest thing, because it's the most exhausting thing ever, because I have to go to work the next day, and and be functional. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, like, my company is very aware of what I do. Mm-hmm. And and I've been doing it for years, and they fully accept and they support what I do, but at the same time it gets to a point where it's like, okay, how long is this gonna is this gonna affect my career, because I'm trying to do things at the same, I'm trying to do too much. Yeah. And you can, when I know, and, I know, and when you're 27, 28, 29, I mean, in comparison to me right now being 37, I mean, that's like, I was a lot easier back then. I was young. I can stay out till like 3. I can get a few hours of sleep. Yeah. And I can be fine. Mm-hmm. And now that is not the case anymore. So, it's rough. Yeah. So I would have to agree with that. I mean, I've done little things here and there, but I did a charity, an event against human trafficking. So I don't know if you know that or remember that, but that, all I know is what you just said. That's what I did just to promote it. And I was just like, holy crap, this is a lot of work. Yeah, and you don't realize how small the Chicago social circle is until you're out there and you start seeing the same people over and over and over again. But don't get me wrong, I've met so many great people like yourself, and it was a lot of fun, but it is exhausting. It's super exhausting. And that's just trying to get your primary base of people that know you. And then you got to do 312s, and you've got to you've also got to think of just interesting ways to market yourself. Like, I'll be like at a restaurant and I'll just take one of my flyers and I'll just airdrop to anyone that is around.
Oh, really?
Like,
that's a good
Like,
idea. I did not realize. Oh, that's
yeah.
a good idea.
Like, I do, like, I'll just drop flyers at places, and like,
I did that too.
I mean, you have to do that, because the thing is, don't get me wrong, you've got your core people that'll come out to all your stuff. And
thank you, everybody that has supported him, and I think that's just awesome. Keep supporting him. Keep supporting the causes. Sorry,
but
had to throw that out there.
Thank you. Yes, but I'll say this after, what is it? Next year is going on 10 years.
It's a long time.
It's a long time.
That's a decade.
I'm like, people are starting. People are getting old now. Like, and I mean, it's hard to make sure people keep coming out. So
yeah,
it's
hard. I mean, it takes a lot for me to go out. So I hear you, because as much as I want to go, it's going to take a lot for me to come out. It has to be really important, or it's going to be that one thing that I'm going out for that week or the 2 weeks. But any other questions you'd like me to ask? Since this is really all about you and like what you do, what you've done, and what you've been through.
I mean, I don't know if there's anything I want you to specifically ask,
or anything else you'd like to share.
I guess I would just say that I mean, 37 years old, going on year 10. It's a nice chunk of my life.
Yeah, for sure.
I am dedicated to doing this, and it's hard on relationships. It's hard on friendships. It's hard, to.
I'm sure you've gone through quite a few people that you considered friends too, because as you kind of go up that, it's almost a little bit of like fame. You've had some fame type status, and you kind of probably have seen some true colors of people along the way.
Oh, yeah, I mean, and the thing is though, is that you just have to kind of accept things for what they are.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
We live in a city where we don't have real celebrities, so
yeah,
regular Joes that do stuff can become popular, and
there's nothing wrong with that though.
I'm like, and you're talking to somebody who high school and college was a lame, so you give me a chance to be cool. Girls actually know who I am before I talk to them. Oh my God! Like, it was like.
Wait, can I get your autograph right now?
I mean, it was it was a surreal feeling to, feel cool, because I've always wanted to be cool, and I think everybody wants to be cool.
Absolutely.
But when you don't have when you've got Star Trek and comic books, it doesn't.
But that's cool though now.
It doesn't make the no. It's cool now.
Yeah.
Not when I was in high school. But yeah, I mean it.
I think we have to define our own cool, though. I mean, it's really about how we view ourselves. You know what I mean?
That's true, but at the same time, it's nice to get a wide opinion.
I guess I've never been one for a wide opinion. I don't really give a shit what anybody thinks of me.
Oh, hey.
And that's why my podcast is called Label Free.
Well, I'll tell you this. I mean, don't get me wrong. Before I was doing all this, I mean. No, I didn't care, because, I had my core group of people.
Sure.
And that was it, and then when you start making your life public and you start talking about your life on the news and in magazines, and people start knowing about you before you know who they are.
Sure.
And you have to make sure that you're not getting drunk or doing something stupid or, making out with random girls in a nightclub or, you know what I mean? Like, you have to, I really had to pay attention to what I did. Like,
so be a little bit more responsible with your image.
I'm like,
right?
not gonna lie, I might have gotten drunk maybe 3 times, to the point of drunk.
Yeah.
3 times in the past 10 years, being out.
Well, that's kind of good. Could you imagine if you didn't have to be held to those kind of standards? How drunk you would have gotten? How many times you would have gotten that drunk?
I mean, because the thing is that people would never say, "Hey, I don't know what Marco looks like when he's drunk," because I've never seen him drunk.
That's not a bad thing, though. Because we've seen some people, and we've seen some people that get really drunk, and it's not a good look at any age.
No. So yeah, no, you really have to pay attention if you're gonna, especially if you're gonna run the charity circuit.
Absolutely.
And you want to be like recognized as someone who, you know, I mean, I'm small potatoes in comparison to some of these charities, but I mean, for just somebody who's doing, it's just one person doing everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I feel like at least, you know.
Well, you're representing the cause, right? So, I mean, when I was doing that event, it's like I had to be mindful. I know what you're saying. I had to be mindful of like how I was presenting myself when I went out, and I couldn't allow myself to overserve myself. And I had to, you know, I couldn't. You can't act a certain way because you're representing the charity. You don't want somebody like, okay, come support my cause, but I'm going to act like an idiot because I had too many drinks, right? You can't do that.
Can't be, you know, and don't get me wrong, I'm a nice person to begin with. I mean, I would say so, but, you know, I mean, you have to...
You're all right. He's okay.
I'm like, but I mean, like, you really have to be on your P's and Q's, you know, about, you know, what you say and how you say it, and, you know, I mean, it does, you know, it does take a toll. I'm not going to lie. I mean, you know, I might do 10 years and go out with a bang. Yeah.
Hey, okay, you guys. So you heard it here first. So we'll see what happens in 2020. You know, the Roaring 20s. A lot of great things going to happen this year. But we're going to start wrapping things up here, Marco. My podcast is called Label Free because I really believe and I want to talk to people that don't allow experiences or things they've gone through in their life to define their future or who they're going to be or what they're going to do. You've had some tough experiences. You know, you were part of the system until, 7 years old, that could have a very negative impact on a young man. And then to have a brain tumor and go through that, and just, I think it's amazing what you've done and the impact that you've had on the Chicago scene, really. And that's why I wanted to have you on here, because I really feel like you represent being label free. You haven't allowed any of those things to define you. Would you agree?
Yeah, I'm still me. I'm still a computer nerd. And
but that's not what I'm saying.
No,
I think you know what I'm saying.
I mean, but I'm just saying, like, you...
That's just only one facet of you, which is kind of cool. I kind of like that you're a computer nerd. There's nothing wrong with that, especially...
You just want your phone fixed, that's all.
Yeah, that could be true.
But yeah, no, I would say so. You still got to be yourself, and to be honest with you, people can detect when you're genuine or when you're not.
Absolutely.
And if you plan on doing what I've been doing, you have to be genuine. You can't be fake, because if you are, it would have fell apart a long time ago. Absolutely,
I would agree, and I think we're gonna end with that. I think you're incredibly inspiring. I've really enjoyed getting to know you, and I feel like, whether you go out with a bang this coming year or you keep doing it, I think that you have continued to impact people's lives and create awareness around two things that a lot of people, lose touch with. There are children out there that are in foster homes that need to be adopted, that need to have support. I've donated to a couple charities this year for the holiday season to foster kids to have Christmas gifts, because, we lose sight of that when we're all caught up in our regular lives, that there are young people out there, there are people out there that aren't as blessed as we are, and also struggling with, health issues. Health issues is very, 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 very difficult, whether you are going through it yourself or whether you're a caretaker, and for you to have to go through that and to where you are today, it's just awesome. So thank you, Marco, for being a guest on Label Free Podcast.
Thanks for having me.
And you never know, we might have to do another one depending on what way he goes this coming year, or we might just do it just for fun and talk about some of his events that are coming up. But thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate your support. Don't forget to subscribe. Please share. As always, live your life label free. To live your best life is to live label free. Until next time, I will talk to you soon.